Hey guys, ChaPow here, back with another Destiny 2 video for you guys. Now this is a Destiny 2 review video, that's why I'm speaking quite fast, because I just want to get it through it really quick, so we're not just dragging this video on and on forever, because there is a lot to talk about, so we need to get through this as quick as possible, so it's not a 45-minute video. Now I am going to cover all of the aspects that I've thought of, that I've got opinions on, that we could actually do quite a strong review about, so I'm just going to get right into that, but quickly, there are spoilers ahead, so basically anyone who hasn't played the game yet, basically Omar at this point, if you're watching, don't watch the rest of the video because there will be spoilers, just a quick warning. So let's just get right into the video. First off, let's talk about the gameplay. Now, the gameplay is obviously, as in Destiny 1, still really good. All the weapons feel amazing, they all feel quite balanced now, which is really good. All the weapons are amazing, all the enemies are amazing, your characters move amazing. There's a lot of good things about the gameplay, and even though Destiny 1 was renownedly, well, very hated by a lot of people, everyone can agree that the gameplay was really solid. The gameplay, they did absolutely amazingly. From movement to abilities and everything like that, everything works so well and is really good, and I really enjoy it, and it's one of the best parts of Destiny 2 yet again, just like it was one of the best parts in Destiny 1. Because the guns just feel so amazing. Now, the progression system. Now, progression is quite fast on Destiny 2. Almost too fast. I would say too fast. And it's they're definitely pandering more to a casual audience. You look at things like Trials of the Nine, you don't have to get as many wins as you did in Trials of Osiris. You've also got things like guided games for Nightfall, which is quite good because it means that you don't have to go into LFGs and find cunts who aren't going to try and just piss you off, and then you have to find a new one over and over again. And then you also get things like, just the progression's really quick, and get legendaries and exotics like just out of normal chests basically, and it just makes it so you're progressing really fast once again. And it's a bit too casual for me. I'd like there to be a bit more of a grind. I'd like the only ways to be able to get to maximum light level is maybe just the raid, Trials of the Nine, and Iron Banner, which I cannot wait for Iron Banner's return, because that means the return of Iron Banter. But basically, all in all, the progression is way too fast and way too casual. The game's just becoming a lot more casual, but the gameplay is still very solid. Now let's go on to the next thing we're going to talk about. Now let's talk about the campaign and the story mode. Now I'm talking about these two separately, and you'll see why. Basically, the campaign is the Red Legion campaign missions, and the story mode is the campaign plus every other story element going into the game. Now, the storyline was very good and very nice, and I liked it a lot. The adventures and everything were very nice as well. You had the campaign, which was very linear, and then you had the adventures, which were like little bits that sprouted off and then they intersected at one point and linked to each other and linked to the campaign and other things like that. And then you've got the strikes, which are basically just like tying up loose ends, any loose ends that you might have had. And the story mode is very good. I really like the story mode, and I really enjoyed it. And the adventures themselves were like 10 to 15 minutes long. They weren't just little short things that you basically do and then you were like, there was no point me really doing that. You felt as if you'd got something out of them because they were quite fun, and you could even get improved loot just for doing a quick little side mission. I say quick, it was like 10 to 15 minutes, which is very good. But the campaign was very good in terms of quality, but on everything else it was quite underwhelming. Now, the cutscenes were amazing. My favourite cutscenes were the ones with Gaul and the Speaker. They were absolutely amazing. They were beautiful, they were slow, they were intense. It showed Gaul to be a really made him more of a desperate character, that he really wanted the light more to like appease the people, and then he turned evil towards the end, killing his counselor, and it was just very good. The cutscenes were amazing. Any of them with Cade were also really good, because Cade is just an amazing character in the game. But it all just felt very short. It was a short campaign in and of itself, but it all felt quite rushed and compact, where it could have been a little bit more drawn out and it would have been a lot better. Like, they could have added a few more missions where you didn't have your light, because the whole build up to Destiny 2 was all these Destiny 1 Guardians who have been playing for ages. You have lost everything. You have lost your light, you have lost your home, you have lost your allies, you have lost your friends, you have lost your loot. Yet you got your light back after one mission without it, and that mission was just walking for a bit. You see what I mean? Like, the whole build-up didn't live up to the build-up. which is what people hated about Destiny 1 in the first place. The fact that, like, there was all this hype and then the story mode was kind of wank. Now, this story mode was very, very good, but it was too compact. Now, it wasn't as drawn out as I would have liked it. Like, just those few extra missions where you had to be a bit more stealthy, you had to be a bit more conservative, you had to leave back a little bit more, you had to go in a bit slower, you had to be a bit more conservative with your health and your ammo and everything like that. That would have been very, very good to see, and it would have been a new, fresh thing that we'd never done before in Destiny. It would have been really, really good. Then you've also got the fact that all your friends and allies have been split up, yet you find Zavala like 3 missions in, and then you already meet Cade and Ikora one mission after the other, and it was really, I didn't like it. It felt too rushed. It felt way too rushed. What I would have liked is, say, you found Zavala, you did a mission with Zavala, you found Cade, did a mission with Cade, you found Ikora, did a mission with Ikora. That's already twice as many missions as you got with those people, and it also would have given you time to bond with the specific characters one by one. You would have bonded with Zavala for a mission, bonded with Cade for a mission, bonded with Ikora for a mission, and it would have fleshed them out a little bit more, and it would have been a lot better. But they didn't do that. And then you also have the final boss fight. The whole build-up of the hype before the game and hype of the storyline in the game was that Gaul was an unstoppable, indestructible badass. And then you killed him in an underwhelming story mission right at the end, and it was a bit like, really? I wanted Gaul to be the raid boss so bad. Like, we'll go into the raid in a little bit, but Gaul as the raid boss would have been awesome. He looked epic, he looked badass, he looked like a right raid boss, he looked indestructible, and then we got some fat, sluggish guy who I'll go into in a little bit. But basically, that's just my thoughts. The campaign was good, but it could have been so much better if they would have just drawn it out a little bit more and fleshed out everything in between it a little bit more. Now let's move on to the next thing we're talking about. Now we're going to talk about Crucible. Now, Crucible is the thing I've been playing the most recently. Over the last few days, I've been playing a lot of Crucible and nothing else. I haven't been going and doing the public events because I've basically burnt myself out on that. I haven't been going and doing patrols, I haven't been going and redoing adventures, I haven't been doing strikes. I've just been playing Crucible, and I'm really enjoying it. This is the most I've ever enjoyed Crucible. I said that when the beta was out, but I really like Crucible because in Destiny 1 it could feel quite chaotic and it could feel quite imbalanced, but this Crucible is very balanced, it's very team based, it's very organized, it's very concise. It's a lot shorter games as well, which is good. It's only like 2 minutes shorter, and the thing is, you don't really seem to get to like the score limits, which is a bit annoying. You tend to get to like 37 to 33 games in Supremacy or something like that, which is a bit annoying, but I'm really enjoying just Crucible as a whole. I'm really liking it. There's not much else to say apart from the fact I'm really enjoying Crucible, and after this I'll probably go and play a little bit more because I am enjoying it so much, and I've never ever enjoyed Crucible in Destiny 1. I always used to just wait until Iron Banner came out to play it, but otherwise I wouldn't really play Crucible unless it were with my friends, but I'm playing it by myself, which I would never do. Never do in Destiny 1. So now let's just move on and let's talk about the next thing. Now let's talk about the Nightfalls and the strikes. So the strikes, I really like them. I like them a lot. I haven't played that much of them because I've been enjoying Crucible, as I've just said. But basically, the strikes aren't as simple and as straightforward as they were in Destiny 1 Vanilla. In Destiny 1 Vanilla, it was basically get into a chief spot, shoot this boss until he dies. In sort of like year 2 and year 3, it was more like shoot a boss, he goes away, you kill ads, he comes back, you shoot him again. He has a slight changes in his mechanics, and then you just basically have to kill him. Whereas in this, it's more complex, if you know what I mean. It's not really difficult, but it's a lot more complex and it's on different levels. Like the Inverted Spire, for example, you have him on the first level where he's just normal and he just has ads killing you. Then on the level below where he has his arc burn, his solar burn, sorry, he sort of like makes the floor burn, and if you stand on it for too long it pushes you up into the air and off of the map, and that's pretty cool. And then you've also got the mechanic right at the bottom where you're basically just surrounded by a massive moat of electronic Vex milk which can kill you. So it's very good. It's a lot more complex. There's a lot of different levels and a lot of different game mechanics going into the strikes rather than just the ones that I mentioned from Destiny 1. The Nightfall is something that is split in opinions though. I don't mind the Nightfall. Charlie doesn't like the Nightfall though. Charlie doesn't like the Nightfall because it's timed. He doesn't like the Nightfall just basically because it's timed. He says he doesn't see why it's timed. I understand why they've timed it, because in Destiny 1, the Nightfalls were a piece of piss. You'd basically go in, do the Nightfalls, do them on your other characters, and then you wouldn't do the Nightfalls ever again for the rest of the week. Whereas with this, because they've added the time element, not only does that make people want to go back and maybe beat their time, which I don't really think many people will do, but it also makes it a lot more difficult to do first time. Now, if you are very, 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 very good at the game, then you will do it first time, but I am not very, very, very good at the game, so I do not do it first time, and it's a bit more difficult, and I kind of like that, but I kind of don't like that. If they hadn't have put the timer in, I wouldn't have cared, and the fact that they have put the timer in, I'm just impartial to it, basically. I'm not against it, and I'm not for it. I'm just basically like, let it be what it is. It's the Nightfall. I don't mind it anyway. I'll play it if I want to play it, basically. But now, let's move on to the next talking point. Now let's talk about the raid. Now, at first, I fucking hated the raid. I thought it was the stupidest, most silly, most over-the-top thing that they had done with the game. And I still stand by that opinion. And basically, I compared it to the Infinite Warfare of zombies. Now, that is because not only do you barely get to see the boss in the build-up to the raid fight, and do you barely get to know him in the build-up of the game at all, you only hear of him through a Nessus adventure, but he's a fucking cyborg in the battle who's been mass manufactured by I don't know who, but why? That's just silly. Could you not have just made him a normal boss? Once you'd killed him, you'd killed him. And I know it fits in with the lore and everything, but Bungie wrote the fucking lore, and Bungie made him a mass manufactured cyborg. They didn't have to do that. They could have made it fit in any other number of ways and basically just made him a normal Emperor Callus, but they decided to make him a cyborg. Then there's also the fact that at one phase he's a glowing purple skull that tries to suck you into his mouth and then vomits skulls at you. Like, what the fuck is Destiny turned it into when that's the biggest boss in the game? Like, I don't hate it now. I did hate it, but it's starting to grow on me a bit more. But like, why did he have to be a glowing skull sucking me into his mouth and then vomiting skulls at me? That just, it seems ridiculous, and it is very, very silly. I haven't played the raid, so obviously I can't have my full opinions on whether I like it or not, but at first I fucking hated it, whereas now I think I'm a bit on the fence, and I'm a bit more like, you know, it looks quite cool, it looks quite fun, but it doesn't look really, really good. Datto even said himself that he's sort of like, when it comes to it, and he can't think of where to put it on the scale of the other raids, but I haven't played it yet, so we'll have to wait to see. But it does look beautiful. Destiny 2 is a beautiful game on a whole, like with the skyboxes and with the waters on Titan being some of the best things that I've ever seen aesthetically in video games, and then you've got the whole like colour scheme of all the weapons and everything on the Leviathan, because it's basically just ice white, gold and purple, which are very, very regal and pristine and pretty and majestic colours. It's a very, very pretty game is what I'm saying. It's a very, very pretty game, and it's a very, very pretty raid, and it's a huge raid when you think about the scale of it, because you're on top of this world devouring ship, but you're only a small little castle sort of thing at the top of it, and then you're just a small little guardian on that. But this Leviathan is only a small little thing in comparison to the solar system, which is small in comparison of, like, just the universe is fucking huge is basically what I'm saying. And Destiny 2 is making it feel as if this is more of a universal gaming experience. And I don't mean that it reaches out to everyone, I basically mean that it's a huge gaming experience and everything just feels a lot bigger in Destiny 2. But now let's move on to the next talking point. Trials of the Nine is also very weird, because when you complete a card, you go into the spire where you meet a very lovely woman called the Emissary of the Nine. Now, she is just a floating person who communicates telepathically. She doesn't move her mouth, she doesn't move her head or anything like that. All she does is she blinks every now and then, basically just to remind you that she's still alive or something like that. And that's weird enough in and of itself. But when you get 3, 5 or 7 wins, you get to go to these different platforms where she gives you more and more loot. Now, she's already waiting for you on these platforms, like she's cloned herself over and over again, and that's very weird. But if you go flawless, everything just gets so much weirder. Are you ready? If you go flawless, you get sucked into this purple vortex where you go into a different dimension where you just stood in a massive expanse of water, where there's a star horse behind you, you're surrounded by a shit ton of stars, and there's a massive glowing luminous head of the Emissary of the Nine. How high were the Bungie developers when they've thought up the idea of an interdimensional portal, a vast expanse of puddle water, a star horse, and a massive glowing luminous head of a woman who we didn't even know 2 minutes before we arrived here. What is going on with Bungie? What are their obsessions with massive glowing luminous heads? Because we had Emperor Callus's purple skull, and now we have the Emissary of the Nine just sat in a puddle with stars and a star horse. That star horse, by the way, is a bit shit. All the star horse does is walk around in circles. Yes, it looks pretty, and it's a pretty game, but he just walks around in circles. He could have, like, jumped up like a startled horse or done laps around the thing every now and then. That would have been pretty cool. But no, he just seems a bit shit, in all honesty. But one thing they should have done with Trials. Now, I know they said they wanted to make it so Trials was, or that all Crucible was 4v4. But if they would have made Trials 3v3, it would have made it more fun, more fresh, more important, more unique, and just better. It would have made it feel more important than all of a Crucible. And also the fact that power advantages were disabled really pissed me, Hamza, and Charlie off. Now, the thing that a lot of people liked about Trials was the fact that you could go up against lower light level teams, rinse through them, or you could go against higher light level teams, and then when you beat them, you could say how much better you were than them because you beat them even though they were higher light level. But now that's not in there, and power advantages are disabled. I hope it's just the first week of Trials thing, but it's made it so that Trials just feels like Crucible, where you have to win 7 times in a row. And I don't like that. I like a more competitive nature to Trials. Trials is built upon being competitive and showing that you are the best at Crucible. But it's not really like that at the moment. Hopefully if they bring the power levels in, it will become a lot better. Anyway, guys, if you have enjoyed that video, then please press that like button and that subscribe button, and go do the same to the rest of the ChaPow crew. Their names will be in the description down below. Also, you can check out Phantom's name will also be in that description down below. And I'd just like to say before I do leave, I do think Destiny 2 is a very, very good game. I really like it. Charlie's a bit impartial on it, and I don't really know about Hamza. I think Hamza really likes it as well. But I will see you guys next time, and goodbye.